Well, welcome to Devotions again with me, Pastor Joe. We get a chance to just sort of dig into a few things. We are going through these qualities that we find in 2 Peter in chapter 1. The qualities are found in verses 5 and 6. Up for it, 5, 6, and 7. And they talk about these 7 qualities that you add to your faith that helps your faith become fully mature so that you walk into the inheritance and the promises that God has for you. And today we're going to talk about the very first of those things. So what he says in verse 5, for this very reason, make every effort to supplement or add to your faith virtue. And today we're just going to talk about that one thing. Add to your faith virtue. Now, virtue is a little bit of an old-timey word. It's easy to just translate it into modern English by saying goodness. Virtue and goodness, that's the same thing. And what Peter is saying, the very first thing you do when you believe something that God has said is that you need to practice doing it. You need to either know goodness in a sense of, I am a good person because of Jesus Christ, and then I also need to practice goodness. So I need to be good and do good. Those are two things that only happen when we actually begin to put them into action. We need to try them. It's like kind of, anything that you're trying to learn. If you don't practice it, you never grow in it. Years ago, when I saw, I did a little music course when I was in Bible college. Before that, I'd never played an instrument in my life. And they offered a course in playing guitar. So I thought, well, I want to learn to play guitar. I could help in a church. I could help in a youth group. I could contribute some way. So I got an old broken down guitar and took the course. And everything they taught us in the class, well, every night I would go home and bang away on my guitar until I could get those chord changes and just, and then eventually work in the bar chords but it took a long time. And the same thing happened when I was trying to learn other instruments, that it's not knowledge of something, it's not the information. That's not enough. I actually need to do it. I need to apply it. And so what he's saying is, when Christ enters your life, and you get that divine thing deposited in you, you need to start doing the good that God does. Since God has both called you good and made you to do good, you need to participate in those things. So he says, add to your faith goodness. You see, when we were outside of Christ, a human life outside of Jesus Christ lives to the flesh. It lives to the carnal nature. And what that means is that we both become evil and we do evil. We end up being self-absorbed and stressed, and we are always competing, and that's not the goodness that God has made humanity for. So he says, when I get involved in your life, I want you to immediately stop practicing the bad things, and you might not be able to stop them right away, but as much as you can, start trying to be good. Start doing good things. Start understanding that you are made good and start to live those things out. It's like when Zacchaeus, in the story of Zacchaeus in Luke 19, as soon as Zacchaeus has an encounter with Jesus and Jesus conveys to him his love for him, and Zacchaeus is drawn to Jesus, even though he's a really wicked man, he's not good in any way. Immediately upon receiving this gift of love from Christ, he starts to do good, and he's spent his whole life stealing from people. So his first promises are about, I'm going to repay what I've stolen. I'm going to give to the poor. I'm going to do something. And again in the life of the disciples, we see that every time Jesus teaches them something, he gets them to practice this. So he's teaching them about prayer, they practice prayer. He's teaching them about delivering people from the demonic and healing them. Well, then he sends them out on a trip to do just that. Every time he teaches them something, he says, do it, because if your faith doesn't match in action, then your faith never grows. Faith is like a muscle, they say. If you strain it and push it, it grows. And the very thing that you have been made, he says, is you've been given a divine nature because of his promise. And that divine nature is trying to get out, and you need to practice it. You need to get involved and do it. So, the question I'd love you to think about today is, what the level of goodness that you're living right now, both in the way that you see yourself and in the way that you live in the world. How can you express that more? How can it grow? I mean, it might be that you just need to stop talking so terribly about yourself. Like, instead of seeing yourself and speaking about yourself like you're bad, start confessing over yourself that you're actually good because of Jesus, not because of your own goodness, but because of what Christ says about you. Instead of living in that polluted sense of, I'm no good, I can't get anything right, I'm bad, everything turns bad, blah, blah, blah. Fill your mind and your heart with the things that God is saying about you and put them in your mouth and start saying them. But then also put them into your actions. Start doing good things. A neighbor, a friend, a coworker, a family member. Is there something around the house that you can do that's going to help you get a sense of the goodness that God has made you for? And it becomes addictive. As soon as you see the difference that you can make and the help that you can give, you start thinking, wow, I like this. I'd rather be this. And that's why Peter says, practice this, practice this, practice this. So the question is, what could you practice today that's going to help you grow in goodness? God bless you as you think about that today. Pray about it and then do something about it. Don't just leave it. Do some good deeds. Say some good things. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.